That day, at that moment, I who have always been in darkness, I saw for the first time the woman who would be the light of my life.
In solo leveling, it's been 2 days since Jin-Woo reached floor 80, and he realizes that since he still hasn't found the entry permit, there must be a strong enemy somewhere in the dungeon. Suddenly, Jin rapidly loses mana as someone or something continuously destroys his shadow soldiers, so he has no choice but to recall his shadows. The next day, due to a continuous ambush, he had to call his soldiers back again. Jin figures out that the enemies are intelligent, since they are purposely targeting the enemies they know they can win against, and predicts they'll be targeting Tank's group next. Jin watches in stealth as a demon noble and 3 demon knights make their way towards Tank's group. In this moment, one of the demon knights easily cuts through Tank and his bears as Jin says the shadow monsters have no chance against the demons. Jin-Woo reveals himself and the demon knight charges stabbing at the shadow monarch. However, he dodges kicking the demon, instantly defeating him. The remaining demon knights charge Jin, but he vanishes before easily chopping them down. The demon noble stands shocked as Jin says he wondered if monsters could feel fear, but now he's certain, and this arc continues. Follow for more. In solo leveling, Chairman Go Gun Hee informs Jin that they are planning to go to Jedu Island to eliminate the ants once and for all. To do this, they will need Jin's help. But before Jin can answer, he suddenly feels a rush of magical energy. Gun Hee asks if something is wrong, and Jin responds that it's just some hunters fighting nearby. The chairman laughs, complimenting Jin on his sense, and explains that S-rank hunters are currently warming up in the gym for the Jeju raid in 4 days. He adds that Ryuji Goto and his Japanese S-rank hunters are there as well, and asks if Jin wants to check it out. Baek Yoon-ho and Ma Dong-wook clash, with Master Ma effortlessly flipping Baek onto his back, yelling that Master Baek should be able to use more strength than that. Jin-Woo notes that Baek Yoon-ho is getting slightly pushed back when Choi Jong-in appears, saying that if Baek were to give it his all, Ma Dong-wook wouldn't stand a chance. Jin asks why he's not giving it his all, considering Dong-wook isn't an opponent he can slack off with. Choi explains that it's hard for someone to use their full strength when there are so many eyes around, especially since President Beck turns into a real monster when he fights. They look to the Japanese S ranks as we are introduced to Ippei Izawa, Mari Ishida, Ken Tanaka, Minoru Hoshino, Atsushi Kumamoto, Kanai Tawata, Tatsumi Fujishima, Kei Akari Shimizu, and Ryuji Goto. And this arc continues. Follow for more. In Solo Leveling, the entrance of the powerful ant overwhelms the hunters with its terrifying presence as Hunter Cha drops to her knees, unable to withstand the immense pressure. Dong-wook realizes the dire situation but finds himself paralyzed as the creature strides right past him. The ant stops at the queen's head and lets out an angry screech. With so much pressure, it drops the hunters to the floor. Cha barely stands when suddenly the ant appears behind her, hitting her with a backhand so powerful it sends her flying, crashing into the wall. Dong-wook cries out for Cha, but the ant nearly teleports in front of him, shattering his shield and destroying his arm. Dong-wook attacks with his other arm, only for the ant to grab his hand before effortlessly ripping it off. The creature then walks to Beck, who tries to attack, but it walks right through him before slashing the ultimate soldier. Taegyu slides in confident he won't miss his shot, but the beast catches his arrow, breaking it before backhanding him straight through his bow. In this moment, Dong-wook rams into the winged ant, declaring that as long as Byung-gu is there, they have a chance. We see that the S-rank healer is able to use a skill called camouflage, which allows him to lay low and completely hide his presence. However, there's a trade-off, as the healer can't move while using the skill. The giant hunter punches the ant, but it dodges before grabbing his foot and slinging him across the room. Byung-gu grows increasingly nervous when suddenly the ant's gaze locks onto him, scaring the healer as it looks closer. Hunter Back screams for Byung-gu, but it's too late as the ant punches its arm straight. In Solo Leveling, the cameraman braces for death as two ants fly at him. Reflecting on how he should have talked to his father more, he's saved at the last moment when Igris's sword skewers the ants. Woo stands with his shadow army. Iron uses his taunt skill, successfully drawing the ants' attention, and Jin says, "Good job," before pulling out the Demon King's daggers and proceeding to easily cut down the attacking ants. Behind Tusk's barrier, Dong-wook wonders what just happened and who is fighting right now, and Baek reassures him, saying, "There's no need to worry anymore. Everything will be fine." Igris grabs an ant's face, smashing it into the ground before decapitating two more, while Tank and Iron also make quick work of the bugs. Jin-Woo considers speeding things up and commands, "Arise," resurrecting the fallen ants as shadows. The terrified cameraman narrates the scene for the broadcast, stuttering that he's unsure what's happening but that the ants are killing each other. Jin takes this time to gather the hunters and gives them all a potion that heals all of their wounds, as he says he'll explain everything. In Solo Leveling, Jin's army clashes with the ants as Igris swiftly takes down multiple foes while Tusk's guards split and punch right through them. Jin calls Tusk forward and warns him to make sure he doesn't hurt the humans or he won't be summoned again. Tusk transforms into a giant before using the hymn of the fire dragon to blast the ants so powerfully that it blasts right through the back of the mountain. This leaves the hunters in awe as Taegyu asks if that's really a summoned beast, and Dong-wook comments that it looks like the Demon King if he descended to the human world. The Ant King stands completely shocked, thinking about how he was supposed to be the strongest, and says, "The one who would constantly grow was me, the king." In this moment, Jin appears through the flames, and the ant thinks, "Run! I have to run away!" As Jin gets closer, the ant regenerates its wings, and Jin notes that he's never seen a monster that can absorb the abilities of the beings it ingests. The winged ant launches away, thinking it has to get further. However, Jin uses his Dominator's touch ability to slap the ant into the floor. But when Jin approaches the monster, it scurries away as quickly as possible. Jin jumps into the air and uses his skill, Mutilate, to carve the ant up, defeating the strongest. Jin tells Baek he's going to stay behind since he still has something to do, and he'll clear the way for them. This is when Jin summons Kaizel and tells Baek he'll see him later, before taking off and flying right through the ants. On a ship, Minoru reflects on his experience with the monster, certain that the raid was a failure, saying, "No one can defeat a monster like that." However, Sugimoto dismisses it and tells him the raid is over. This shocks the shaken hunter as he exclaims, "That's impossible," while Sugimoto recalls recalls his conversation with Goto before the raid. Suddenly, they are alerted that the ants are spreading out, and the ships prepare for battle. Back in the cave, Jin's shadow soldiers clean up the ants while the mages burn the eggs. Jin notes that even killing unborn ants adds to his experience. While looking through his inventory, he notices something and pulls out the Demon King's longsword, deciding to test it out. He gives the unhatched ants some electrotherapy and realizes it would be a waste to leave it in his inventory, so he decides to take care of the remaining eggs with it. In America, David Brennan, the director of the Bureau of Hunters, watches the footage. Michael Connor, who we learn is the man with him, explains that a hunter controlling hundreds of soldiers is an anomaly and a waste in a small country like South Korea. David agrees, asking if there's any more information. Michael Connor reveals the Sung Il-hwam incident, explaining that Jin's father was found and captured in a dungeon in the northeast United States.